I think
You good?
that if I want to look coherent, that I need to stop at this point.
Oh Lord, okay.
Let me just get that out. Ayo, what up though? Welcome to What Up Though on the Sweet Talkers Network. I am your host today, ChaseKassidy, aka sound guy, aka producer of the jam, aka CEO, whatever you want to call her. I be she. So welcome to What Up Though. This is the show where, two people who are online friends that have never met in person, but have some sort of rapport where they come and they meet for the first time. And I am pulling in someone today that it's been a good few years here that we've been friends online. Someone who I deem to be, at least online, very, very, very passionate, and seems like he will get your ass together.
Give him the opportunity, child.
So I have here joining me today, Marlin Colyer, my boy. Hey, Marlin.
Ta-da!
What up? So how old are you? Where are you from? What are you doing for a living?
We
All
didn't do
that.
any of that.
I mean, we give you first date. We give you first date questions.
Very much so.
I do this. That's me like putting my bag in the crook of my arm.
Yeah, I love it. That's kind. I love that. So kind. So I am 39. I am originally from Chicago.
Okay.
I moved away from Chicago when I was 28. I've lived in Detroit, Michigan, Washington, D.C., and now I reside in Jersey City. I am currently a patient navigator at a hospital that I will not name on air, but I do work with the HIV and AIDS community.
Good job.
Yeah,
man.
so
Good job matters. Okay. Yes.
Thank you.
I'm living for this.
Other little tidbits, fun facts. I am the eldest of approximately 13, 3 of which are my mom's, the rest are my dad's. Okay. I do not know probably about 4 or 5 of them. There are about 5 that I have personal relationship that we grew up in Chicago. The rest of them are a mystery. I won't be able to ask my dad because he's no longer with us, but thank you, Dad, for making me the first one. Good one. This is a good one. Okay, so my question for you, if you could curate your dream concert with 3 artists that are alive, who would you have, and in what order would they perform?
Oh, this is rude as fuck.
I knew it would be. It's fun.
Because of the fact that you strapped me down to only 3.
Ain't it terrible?
What you could have done was give me 7. That's the least, but okay.
I mean, it's 2021. We're living in trash, so we have to deal with it.
I mean, at the bottom of the trash can, at the very bottom, where the juices collect. That's who we are.
It's congealing.
But okay, so let me see. This is tough. Because I have my music taste varies. Like I am all over the place. Like I will like a little bit of rock. I like a little bit of country, heavy on the 90s hip hop and R&B. Like I am all over the place. Give me some pop. So I would go with this is tough. This is tough. This is really hard. Okay. So the first person that jumps in my mind that has to be there, and it's honestly, I love this woman. She is, every gay has their diva, right?
Right.
Like the number one female entertainer, right? Mine is Toni Braxton.
Yes.
Toni Braxton is my girl. And I always, in my head, I go back to, there's this version of her singing 7 Whole Days live. It's on YouTube, and it's like the extended version. Like there's a version of it that's on an album, right? And it's good. But this is the thing. She sounds so good until she gets to the bridge that it actually sounds like the actual track, right?
Oh, so shit.
The variations start to come in the bridge, right? And then after like the first or second chorus after the bridge, they kind of fade it out. But what they don't tell you is that there's an extended version. And right where they cut it is where Tony begins to lay into that microphone.
Come on, somebody.
And it is, every time I hear it, every time it gives me goosebumps. And her songs are like a time machine for me as well. And then even like her like the title track, Spell My Name, from her last album, like that does something for me. Like it speaks to me in a certain way because me and my boyfriend have an age difference. So it's kind of like that hot and sexy. It's really cool. So Tony is going to be on my concert, period. Let's see. I want to have a nice show. I need somebody who's going to get on that stage and also dance it down too. Tony's not going to give me anything. Right? This is hard. This is hard.
I know it.
Oh my gosh, like I am really struggling harder than I thought. Like I have some names floating in my head, but I'm like,
it's like trying to put them together. Like you know who you want, but it's got to flow right.
But I'm like, is that like even? Okay. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go. All right, I'm gonna go very real. Tony is a very real answer for me. She is very real. And I want Tony to be second. I want her to go second. All right.
Got it. Okay.
And my show is gonna be very gay. Let's just be very clear. It's gonna be very gay. Okay. So opening my show will be Aaliyah. And I'm gonna tell you why. It's because I'm gonna get Dance Down. I'm gonna get music through time, and I'm also gonna get timeless music. That last album could have been released today, most of it, and you wouldn't know, right?
Yes.
So also, we never got a chance to see her perform that album, and I want to see it, right? So she would open the show for me, right? Give me some highs. She can give me some vocals as well that I like. The soft. Bring me in soft and gentle, right? And then Tony with the boom, 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 with the vocals. But at the end here, I'm gonna want vocals, strong vocals, and I'm gonna want strong dance, right?
Okay.
And I'm also gonna want multiple women. Okay. So we're gonna close the show with the girl group. Now, in my head, it was between two. There's only two in my head. There's Destiny's Child. And there's Danity Kane, right? Now,
the queer in me is just starting to lose my shit. I'm out. Yes. Okay.
Yes. Now, the reason why this group won in my head over the other group is because, personally for me, when I see a group, I want to hear each person be a lead singer at all times. That's what I want. I want to hear every person. So I'm going to pick, to close my show, Danity Kane. Because all 5 of those hoes sing down. Baby. All 5 of them dance down.
Yes.
They also, between them, have solo music that they could tie in. Then you also have Dumb Blonde if you want to tie in Aubrey and Shannon's work. Like there is stuff to do. It's a good time. And it's going to be an eclectic show. So I feel like using those 5 women would add a whole bunch of different flavors to my show that I wouldn't get if I also chose Destiny's Child. So Aaliyah, Toni Braxton, Danity Kane. It's going to be a good ass night.
I see that show. That sounds dope. Okay.
And you know what? I sold it too. That's what I did.
Baby, listen, put it on a silver platter, put the parsley on top. I'm ready to eat. I'm ready. Yes.
Okay, all right. So let me ask you, I want to know like super basic stuff, right? Like, so I
Okay.
want to ask you like the quintessential like first date questions, right? So we're just gonna call
Okay.
it the first date questions. Okay, so like, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? Favorite movie, TV show, that sort of stuff. Like, what's your like shit? You know?
Okay, so favorite color has varied over time. When I was younger, if you would have asked me that question, the color was red.
Okay.
And it was like, I don't know where red came from, but I was in love with red when I was a kid.
Right.
So we got that right. But then, like, as I got older, when we got to like preteen years, it went from red to green. I
Gotcha.
don't know how we got there. It was
Wow.
really strange, but it
Okay.
was like a hard turn. So then when I became a teenager, like in high school, we getting there, we getting grown. Then it became black.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, now
Ah!
you'll learn that I'm a thinker and
Yeah.
I get like real pseudo deep sometimes, and sometimes real deep.
Wow.
But if I look back at my selection of favorite colors over the course of my life, it kind of speaks to the evolution of me as a person.
Okay.
Follow me. So when I was younger, my favorite color was red. Red represents power, vigor. Yeah, so all those things about red. When I was younger, um, very, very sheltered child. My mother kept me under her hip. I was always very talented. I loved to read. I was not the typical boy. I was very, very queer. I like to read. I love to draw. I started singing at a very young age. I was always the best dancer in my family. All those things. So very powerful young man, kind of like brewing, right? So then we shift over to green. Green, I kind of feel like it represents like this budding growth in me because during those like preteen years, it was kind of awkward for me. And I experienced a lot of different things that maybe not young men should be experiencing, but it happened. And I began to kind of question a lot of things around me. Now, when we get to high school and it became black, I went through a period of time in my life around sophomore year where I was practicing witchcraft. I was a Wiccan.
Word.
So I was like the part of the emo. I came out when I was 16. I was
Right.
part of the emo goth crew. We were the gays not to fuck with. I have a really funny story about the black thing. I have
Oh
to
my
come back to it.
God.
But so
Wow.
yeah, so it was just like it's been black. When anybody asks me that question, yeah. So that's like my favorite color right now. It's black.
It's so interesting because like I'm over here smiling because you and I, even in that very obscure way, we have like literal parallel. Like we're literally the same. With the exception of like maybe like when the color started shifting for you a little bit. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, and also the fact that red is still my favorite color. I just lean more toward black when it comes to like like what I'm wearing. Like even like what I have on right now, like I had on something else and then I had on something else. Both of those things were color. And I'm like, no, I just feel comfortable being on camera right now in black. I just know it's gonna work. I just know it's gonna, you know. And
Got you.
for me, like it went from red when I was also a young, when I was like, oh my God, red's my favorite color for whatever reason. And I also was like a sheltered kid, more like a religious sort of thing. And, you know, always in church, that sort of thing, right? So I never really, like I had, my mother was very like careful and I grew up in the hood, so I grew up in Brooklyn and Red Hook. So it wasn't like the best place, you know, so she was trying to make sure I was safe. So I wasn't just out and about. So I didn't see a lot of things, right? Um,
Right.
but then I got to this place, for some reason, green just kind of crept in. Like in my teen years, I'm like, I think
Right.
what it was is I realized the first thing it was kind of like vain. I just realized I looked nice and green. Like I was like, oh, I look nice and green. As a matter of fact, the shirt I had on before this was green. Hilarious.
Get out of here.
So I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. But then in my 20s, my mid 20s, Black kind of started coming in for me in a way of like, I started feeling a lot of darkness. And the thing with me is like, I've always kind of been attracted to the darkness in a way. So even like your whole mention of like the whole Wiccan thing, and that was nothing I was ever like, I ever wanted to do, but I've been always been like attracted to dark things in certain ways, you know, and I always find like a little bit of like beauty and coolness or comfort in it. It's really strange, but it's part of like who I am. So I recognized when I was in that space, like my fashion started to change. Like a lot of the color went away. There was more like black and like monotone. A lot of my patterns went away as well. And now it's so much to the point where I have to specifically tell myself, do not buy anything else that is black. Like, yeah, like favorite food, like what do you like, favorite movie, stuff like that.
So, foodie fatty. I love food. I've grown up around people that cook. Everybody in my family cooks. Everybody. I take a liking to soul food.
Yeah.
I like comfort foods and things like that. It's always Thanksgiving in my brain. So all of those things are always wonderful. Fun fact, I was a very picky eater as a child.
Yeah.
I listen, I didn't do the things, but as I got older, it got a whole lot better. I started, exploring things. So that's my shit. That's my shit. And I'm glad you asked me that question because the question that I have for you is, I heard from a bird before, your way around the kitchen and some spice.
Yes.
Yes. Because I remember you saying something on the podcast, on the cookout one day about something you made. It was real fancy, but I could taste it on my tongue. I was like, I want to know how you came up with that. But my question is, what is your favorite dish to make?
Okay. My favorite dish to make, and I'm going to say this only because every time I make it, I know it's a home run every time. So I make this roasted chicken with cilantro lime sauce, along with, roasted potatoes with a smoked like Alfredo sauce, and simple like collard greens, kale, with also blistered tomatoes, cherry tomatoes inside with them. So you get a good balance.
You sound like, okay, so I feel like I already know the answer to this question, but do you cook by color or by taste?
I cook by taste more.
I knew it.
It has to taste right, but also like honestly, like my whole family kind of like yours, like we all cook, like we all have like a little knack for that. But I feel like I've kind of pressed in on mine a little bit more because like just in boredom or just like around the house, like for years now I've been like watching Chopped and like Beat Bobby Flay, stuff like that. So I've learned like proper technique and like how you're supposed to plate, and that color and presentation do matter, stuff like that. So, and how to balance that flavor out. So if you have a whole bunch of heavy, fatty stuff on the plate, give me an acid to cut through that a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it's kind of like, hodgepodge of things, but
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, definitely by taste. If it don't taste good, I'm not serving it.
Yeah, I feel you on that, because if it's nasty, child, it's not gonna go down right. I'm sorry.
But even if it's like, this is fine, but this doesn't represent what I'm trying to do. Because I've certainly done that before. Like, I'm supposed to cook something for somebody, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not serving that. It's fine. No, I'm not serving it.
Right.
So,
no.
I'm serious about my. Here's a question I have, and I feel like this really tells me the kind of person that you are, okay? The best Black sitcom of all time. You have two options. I'm only going to give you two. That's okay. Because all the other options are probably going to be incorrect or not correct enough. Okay. Oh, Martin. Okay. Or Fresh Prince. Which one?
Martin for me.
So there's technically no wrong answer here, but but Fresh Prince would have got you 10 extra points. I'm just saying.
Now, let me just roll it back a little bit by saying that I am not the biggest TV person.
Okay.
I am not. Now, when I was younger, because TV was lit back in the day, for real.
Yes, it was.
But when it comes down to being like a connoisseur of shows,
yeah,
I was never really the person to be kind of glued to a screen every week for something.
Gotcha.
The only thing that I have ever been glued to a screen about are cartoons.
Oh.
My entire life to this very day. Are we about
to do this? We're
having a moment. We're having a moment.
Did
because
we just best friends? Did we just?
I think we did. Because if you want Marlin to sit in front of a television and be engaged on like, we're just going and we're doing things, put two things in front of me. You're gonna put in front of me cartoons or music videos. I'm there all day. That's been my life.
Now, see, I will say with music videos, I have to, it's better with a partner who's into it as much as I am. Like, I have much more enjoyment out of it with that. Now, with these cartoons, it can literally be all day, every day for me, by myself, with somebody. If you ain't seen the cartoon, I'm putting you onto it. Like,
yes.
Okay, so let's talk about it.
Okay, let's do it.
Brought it up. Okay, let's start with adult animation, okay? What are your top 3 favorite adult animation shows of all time? Give me your top 3.
Adult animations of all time. Okay, first of all, I think if I have to say, if I'm thinking like in the now of things, I have to throw Family Guy at the top.
Come on, somebody.
I have to. Because The Simpsons came at a time, and The Simpsons were like groundbreaking for like talking about everything and leaving no stone unturned. Then as time got on, we got things like South Park, which was cool for what it was, funny in its moments, had its thing. Family Guy is my kind of Niggnorance, okay? Because no one is safe.
Nobody. They always dragging it.
Listen, they drag everybody. The references have left me in stitches. Stewie plagues my brain on a constant basis. He's ridiculous. I can't take it.
And it's so
I love that show.
So, like, there are times when I laugh at jokes and I feel bad for it. I'm like, I should not laugh at this, but this is hilarious.
Yeah, it's really bad. It's really bad. So Family Guy is definitely up top.
Okay.
Number 2. My God, number 2. You know what? Number 2, I got to give to the Boondocks. I have to.
Yes.
I have to.
I even totally forgot about. Wow. Yes.
Yeah. Number 2, I got to give to the Boondocks because, again, like, Niggnorant, Black perspective,
did you just
hilarious. Niggnorant, exactly. Not ignorant. Niggnorant.
Yeah.
Y'all share that. Niggnorance at its best.
That is bad. That's bad. I love that.
Yes. So definitely Boondocks. And even with the Boondocks, like, I didn't follow it as close as everybody did, but when I did watch it, you got to give credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
Number 3 is tough, especially for an of all time category.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking about things that I have seen over the years that were like cult classics, but everybody is not on. If I had to choose one for the number 3 spot, I have to give it to a newcomer because they keep bringing the hits. It is ridiculously ignorant and it's terrible and it's inappropriate and people have like a hard time watching it, but I am so faithful with it, is Big Mouth. Oh my God. Oh my God.
People are like,
Big Mouth.
People are chumps. That show is fucking hilarious. And it's honest. It's honest.
As a person that has been having sexual intercourse since I was 8.
Yeah.
This show does it for me because I was that young and younger doing shit I had no business doing. And the thing that I love about this show is that it's funny as fuck, it's honest as hell, but there are so many teachable moments for everybody.
Yeah.
And they talk about a lot of shit. They give you a message with so much trash, but the roses are like surrounding it as well.
It is garbage. It belongs in the trash can at the bottom with the juices, like where we are in 2021, bringing it full circle. All, like that's where
it belongs in the Mercadesis outside of Angela Bassett's home beneath the flames. Oh, that's where it belongs.
Not. Go away.
It is trash. Absolutely.
Nah, Big Mouth is hilarious. Like, and honestly, man, the way that they like bring your urges to life with the hormone monster, like to me is like it is the fact that they're different ones, and like that stuff, like that weird like stuff that he be whispering in his ear, like those are the urges you feel. Like it's insane. Like, and I first saw it, and like I mean, I still remember everybody bleeds. Like what? It's insane. It's insane.
It's crazy. Yes, but that's
but like that would be in my top 5. If it was a top 5, that would be my top 5 for sure. Definitely.
Okay.
Top 3 for me, I'm gonna go no particular order. It's also gonna be Family Guy. Just because even though I feel like the last few seasons haven't been like the greatest or whatever, and I'm kind of falling off of it, I remember what that show, when it was fresh and it was new and in its heyday, what it did to me and what it still does to me with those episodes when I curl over in laughter and I cry. Like, I remember like watching it and like, you know, in the house at the time I lived with my parents, and it will come on Adult Swim. It's like 11:30. They might be sleeping in the next room, and I am literally facing the pillow, screaming, laughing, trying not to wake them up. Like that's Family Guy to me, and I can depend on that every time, and I love it.
Yes.
Another show that I would say you really threw it up in the air with the Boondocks for me, because I had a top 3 until you said that. And so I'm gonna I know which one is gonna be solid. Archer is gonna get in there. Archer, yes.
I love you. We're best friends to call each other every 5 minutes. Oh my God. Oh my God, sir.
You know how hard it is to find a person not only that watches Archer, but a person that is Black that watches Archer, but a person that is Black and gay and male that watches Archer.
Sir, there is none. There is an ignorance that is very special, that is an Archer, that people I need people to latch on. That show, oh my God, man.
That's another show that you cannot be. There's 2 things you cannot be watching Archer. You cannot be sensitive.
No.
Because it's another show that goes after everybody. But you also, which I love this, is you cannot be dumb. You have to be sharp enough to catch, because there's so many subtle, like layers upon layers upon layers of subtle jokes in there that you can. I've seen episodes of Archer 10 times over, and I still catch stuff that I didn't catch the first 9 times.
Yes.
It's amazing. But my number 3, what would my number 3 be? I'm having a hard time. I was gonna go Bob's Burgers. But then you said Boondocks, and now I'm like, Bob's Burgers is everything.
Bob's Burgers.
But what the Boondocks did for the culture and like the way that it is so well done. And I know a lot of times when there are Black things that are done, sometimes it is not of the same caliber as other things that are non-Black.
Right.
I feel like the Boondocks was actually leaps and bounds better.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
You know, absolutely. And for the culture and like for the quips and the one-liners and like the references that only like we truly understand.
Exactly.
Like, I think it is like my first, and I didn't watch the Boondocks when it was hot like everybody else. I saw them like playing reruns on Adult Swim. and I saw the first episode I saw, which again had me bent over crying,
dying laughing.
Was the episode where I think his name, the lawyer Tom, he ended up living out his worst fear and going and getting stuck in prison when they were doing the Beyond Scared Straight thing. I'm telling you, like, yo, that episode was so.
Yo, the shower scene, sir. The shower scene. Tower and Hugger Man stood behind him, and that fucking fire hose rolled up. I was like, sir, I'm not doing this today.
That was my introduction. And then even like now that it's like on HBO, like I've been watching it more, and like Uncle Ruckus, like I hate to say it, but he's probably the character on the show that makes me laugh the most and the hardest, because the stuff he be saying, I'm like, this is insane.
Oh my gosh, man.
I watch it and I'm like, I know this is a Black show, but is this racist and should I be laughing? And I'm like, it doesn't even matter. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
I love it.
So
I love it. Yeah.
That's why I'm having a hard time, because Bob's Burgers does the same thing for me. It's just not Black.
Yeah. I mean, in Bob's Burgers, yo, I can't even begin to express my love for Bob's Burgers, because that show is just
the layers of characters. Like,
the layers of the characters, and I love witty cartoons.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that, because, and then I love even more watching those types of cartoons with people that appreciate them. Because somebody that just like, oh, I like cartoons, like, you can't watch Bob's Burgers with them, because they're not gonna get it. They're gonna miss a lot.
Right. It's over your head, but it's so much. That's another show with the trivia and like just the references. I have a whole literal Bob's Burgers like cookbook, like those burgers of the day. I have a cookbook of each burger with like actual recipes where you can make burgers, like. And I'm like, I got that as a gift one time, and I squealed. Like,
I love it.
This is tough. But if I'm going to be honest, because what's going to edge it out is because even with the greatest of urges, I did not watch the Boondocks in its time, in its day, and I wasn't along with it during it. But I'm watching Bob's Burgers as it's like going and developing. Yeah. Playing now, when I love it now, I'm gonna give it to Bob. But it is literally the skin of your teeth that Bob.
Yes.
Literally.
Okay.
It is. I'm gonna just say that it's on the strength of how much I love Tina and Gene. That I'm gonna give it to Bob's Burgers. And you know what? Also, Teddy, the side characters in Bob's Burgers did it. That's what's doing it. The side characters.
You know who's one of my favorite side characters on Bob's Burgers that I wish they would show them just a little bit more? Marshmallow. I want to see more of Marshmallow so bad.
Yeah.
So, that's the gay in me, but it's just like, I love the juxtaposition of like how Bob is so like comfortable to be around these drag queens, and the relationship that he has with Marshmallow and the rest of the girls.
I feel like Bob might be, first of all, Gene is trans. I feel like Gene is trans. I just want to say he has said, if you look at the show, Gene always says things. He's either that or maybe not trans, but maybe non-binary. Because some of the things that he says, I feel like I shouldn't be calling him he. Perhaps.
Okay.
Like,
I dig it.
Like that. But I think Bob might be a little fluid. He's somewhere on the spectrum. Because there's been some times where Bob has kind of been like into it. Like, and one in particular was it was a Thanksgiving episode, which was some of my favorite episodes, where I think it was the one where the turkey kept ending up in the toilet. And he had to keep going back to the deli. And the guy at the deli that was giving out the turkeys was a gay guy. And he was like, Bob was trying to hit on him. And Bob was like, well, you're attractive. I don't know. What is this? What am I feeling? Yes, no? And I'm like, Bob, I think Bob is into it. I think.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Man,
I love it.
I love that show, man.
So,
I
yeah.
think obscure. I think about like one of the only animes that I actually liked, which is strange. I'm a super geek, but animes just don't grab me. But it was called Ronin Warriors from back. Yes, you know it.
Chase, sir, know it. I watched it all the time.
Oh my gosh! And see, I had a
I
hard time
love it on
catching
the
it
way.
because growing up in New York, when you, especially like me, I didn't have cable growing up. So a lot of time, any cable programming I got was like when I was at like my best friend, he lived on the first floor, so I was always at his house. But like, so Ronin Warriors is one of those shows that like, along with Sailor Moon, which was the other anime that I liked,
Right.
they would just come on like at these sparse times, like at the ass crack of dawn, like maybe 4:35 in the morning, stuff like that. And I would in those moments. So I've seen Ronin Warriors, but I've seen enough to know like I love this, but I haven't been able to watch the whole thing. But anytime I say it, no one ever knows what the I'm talking about. I can't believe
it was so obscure. Yes, love Ronin Warriors, and the only reason why I ended up catching it a lot is because my little brother's dad used to watch it, and he used to record it so that we could see it later. So there would be random times when we sit down, watch episodes of Ronin Warriors. But I loved that cartoon. Super dope.
I remember like watching when Sailor Moon hit Hulu. I watched it again. Well, I tried to as an adult, and I was like, yeah, I don't, this feels wrong. Tuxedo Mask. No, Tuxedo Mask, really, he really ain't shit. And, this isn't sending a good message to the young women. I don't know how I feel.
So the morality of it all.
I didn't enjoy it. And it just felt like they would spend more time, getting their uniforms on than actually fighting. So I couldn't really get into it. But
my thing that I loved about Sailor Moon fed my inner gay boy.
That's what it was for that time. Yes.
Yeah. Now I'm not a Sailor Moon kind of guy because my palette for anime has changed a whole lot because I've seen a whole lot of other different shit. I'm gonna get into a pseudo deep moment because I wrote this question.
Okay.
So, give me your fondest childhood memory, and then tie that memory to something you do in your adulthood as a result of that.
So I grew up in Brooklyn, Red Hook, Brooklyn, New York. My mother fostered a particular kind of environment and in our home, and the energy was set up a certain kind of way. And the energy got out of balance, it was put back into balance. And a lot of times that was, through like music or, things of that nature. And so Saturdays, I remember in particular, always felt like a reset day in the house because it was either one of two things or both of these things. It was wake up mad early, and I remember watching like Winnie the Pooh because that was one of the first things that would come on. Winnie the Pooh on Saturday morning cartoons, and also Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Oh my gosh, the classics.
And then after that, it would be like my mother would get up and we would either end up cleaning up the house to music, or we would first get dressed, go to, which was my favorite, get dressed, and we would walk to Pathmark. And it was a healthy walk. We had to walk through like our whole hood, our whole neighborhood, almost to the end of it to get to Pathmark. And then we would come back with our groceries. And like we would always stop at like Dunkin' Donuts on the way in. And then I might get to play like a quick little game of Mortal Kombat and a little arcade situation there. And then come back, put the food away, clean up, all the while music is playing. There's like at a particular time before we went back, my mom like gave her life back to Christ and we started like going to church really heavy. It would be like Anita Baker, and it would be Tony Braxton, and it would be like Billie Holiday and stuff like that. But then even when that shifted and that sort of music wasn't played in the house anymore, then it became like Fred Hammond, which was really heavy. So now in my adult life, I'm very, very, very serious about the energy in my home. Like to the point where when and if you ever do visit my home and you come in, anybody who's ever come in here is always like, I feel so comfortable. I feel relaxed. I feel at peace. Like the peace is palpable in my home. And I'm very serious about that balance. And if it's off, whatever's throwing it off needs to be fixed because I won't have it. It can be crazy anywhere else out there, but in here, I'm not going to have it. So a lot of times if I feel the pieces are balanced, I may play, my 90s playlist that takes me back to feeling that moment that I had when I was a kid, right? Even to the point where like Saturday mornings, I look forward to my Saturday mornings now because, my boyfriend, he lives with me. We live together, but I wake up a lot earlier than he does. And so my Saturday mornings is still kind of like my thing. I get up and I will sage the apartment down, walk through, get that energy right. I'll get coffee ready, and I may get a blanket, lay on the couch. I have been on to watch an episode or two of Winnie the Pooh just to kind of get that feeling back, and get my Saturday right. Even before I would come into this studio space and I record anything in here, like I'll be playing music in here, saging it down, getting the vibe right because I want it to feel. You got to balance that energy out. So that's something that I've carried from my childhood. Is just my mother didn't play about that, and it was nothing. It was never anything that she like ever verbalized. It was just there were certain people who weren't welcome in our house. There were certain like energies that were not welcome. And I appreciate this. This is actually something that I noticed about you really early on because like we met, through you listening to my show, The Cookout, and being a fan of that and like being a vocal fan. And I'm like, oh, this guy seems to be really cool. And then like I found out you had a podcast and it took me forever to listen to it. And then when I did, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a super fan of this. So just like following you through the years, like on your Instagram and social media, and just like now on your show as well, like something that I just admire about you. I love the fact that you are like 100% like honest about like your HIV status and you talk about that, and it's like super empowering. It's always been something that I've kind of had like a like everybody kind of has their cause and like their spot, like kind of touches their heart. And for me, it's like homelessness and HIV awareness and like making sure that the information that's out there is correct. Because I tell you, I am so gagged and surprised that in 2021, how many, like not even just us in our community, but just how many people in general like have such misinformation about it, and also about how far it's come. Like you don't understand like where we are in this. Like I fully expect personally to see a cure like in our lifetime, and I'm not talking the next 10 years, I'm talking very soon. Like so I am just like, I admire the fact that you're out and you're up front and you talk about that. Like was that something that like what has your journey been like with that to get there? What does it mean to you to make sure that the proper information is out there, things like that?
Ooh, child, you can take this to a whole nother show. But so my journey with HIV has not been easy.
Right.
Because I didn't come out publicly to the world the way that we millennials do now with the social medias until about, I want to say 2018, 2019.
Okay, wow. So this is really fresh in a way.
Well, the thing about it is me being open online about it with everyone. Yes, that's very fresh.
Yeah.
But it has been 18, 19 years now.
Okay.
Yes. So 18, 19 years, somewhere around there.
Okay.
But when I first found out Just brief backstory. I was 17 going on 18. Ex-boyfriend at the time, I'd gotten really, really ill to the point where I was going, because I remember I was working with my mom at the time. And I was going to work. I was really ill, got super thin, couldn't stand, fainting. It was really crazy. But eventually I got better, yada, yada, yada. I went for a job to work with KBR Halliburton overseas with my ex at the time, because that's where he was working.
Okay.
The incentive was $10,000 a month. You stay over there for a year, you get to keep all your coins. Yeah, we were trying to do the things.
Yeah.
So in order to get that job, you had to go through this training down in Texas. They had to do a very extensive medical background check, whatever have you. So I did, submitted my urine, all that stuff. They go through all the things. Came back the next day because they drew my blood. Came back the next day and they were like, "Oh, Mr. Colyer, we need to draw your blood again because your blood clotted." I was like, "That's really strange. How does that happen?" But whatever. Yeah. Do it again. They took it again. The next day I came back to training. They shipped me off in this van to this remote location. I don't even understand why. So I go and they sit me down and they let me know that I was HIV positive. And one of the stipulations for getting this job was that you could not be HIV positive. So now I don't have the job, and now I found out that I'm positive. Here's why that is very, 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 very tough for Marlin in particular. My mother's best friend when I was born was gay, and she lost him to AIDS. So I don't recall really understanding or knowing the magnitude of HIV and AIDS when I was younger and into my teenage years.
Right.
More so because of how, knowing now and being in my journey as long as I have been, and even working in the field as I do now, looking at how information was distributed about the virus, thinking about how I caught it being a young, queer Black man, that my sex education in the home was my mother giving me a condom and telling me not to bring any babies home. That doesn't help me because I like dick and ass. So I can't make babies. I can make a butt baby. It's not gonna get nowhere. But this is the thing, So here we are. But hearing about it, my only prayer to God when I was a Christian back then was that, God, I don't want to die a statistic. I don't want to be another sissy in the dirt that died from this disease.
Right.
So here we are years later. I am on the cusp of adulthood, and boom, my fear has come to life.
Right.
The semantics of how things went after that went very... Told my boyfriend about it, cried about it. Later on, we ended up breaking up for several reasons. I went through a depression about the situation. We ended up breaking up, kicked me out of the house, and then got drunk because he was an alcoholic and went out to the club, and I'm a very social person. Went out to the club and told anybody that would listen that I had HIV.
Yeah. So
my power to own it was taken away from me. I couldn't speak it because he'd already put it out there. So the shame and all the other shit that came along with it plagued me for a very long time, up until 2018, 2019. And I got to shout out my ex that I was with at the time when I came out, for helping me get to that space, because I was already in a space where I wanted to be open and vocal about it, because I worked in the field, because I've ushered and mentored and talked to people that have come across, that have known me personally, that I could trust, that I would talk to, would come to me and talk to me about it. I've helped them out with it. And I always say that I really want people, when it comes down to HIV, in particular, and this can be directed toward any STI, any decisions you make in life, never make your decisions out of fear. Make it from education. because more often than not, what I found over my 18, 19 years is that the people that end up with HIV are always the ones that are like, oh, I'm not fucking around with nobody with HIV. Oh, I know this person and, you know, I can do what I want to do with them. Oh, I'm not a hoe, so it'll never be me. And it's like, all of that is information that always ends up leading them down to coming back to me and being like, Marlin, I need somebody to talk to. I really, a large part of me coming out and telling my story within the last couple of years is that I don't want to see people have to keep going through this if they don't have to, because it can be avoided, especially with the way that things are now, medication-wise. Also, people, it pains me that there are not enough people that don't understand that if you're undetectable, you cannot transmit the virus to anybody else. Things, all of those things, it's very important for people to understand what viral load is, what a T-cell count is, to understand that you can't see it, to understand that it's just have your knowledge and then make your decision about what you want to do sexually.
Right.
And know that, I tell people all the time, like, child, I have been a hoe back in my day. I've done very hoish things. I've lived my life.
Right.
If I would have had the knowledge and information that I have now, I could have saved myself a lot of grief and a lot of different experiences with STIs and with HIV, because I wouldn't be walking around praying to avoid this situation instead of walking directly into it because I had no information on how to protect myself. Right. I just want people to protect themselves. There are so many ways that you can get out here and be your best hoe. Your best hoe, child.
Yeah.
You can be leaking from all the orifices and still be safe. It can be okay. You can do the things.
She's so
naked and soaking wet, shake it like a salt shaker, child. You can do all the things, but I want you to just be informed. Be informed and stop judging people, because Chase, if I could tell you how many people I ran across that was just, you have this judgmental thing, you're so misinformed, and I'm like, child, that's not how it goes. Child, I'm not all right. And then a year later,
and what makes it worse is when they're so rigid and they're gonna stand up in the wrongness. Now, I'm just going to say, this is how we met, right? So I have a podcast called The Cookout, and I had 2 friends of mine who listened to that show, who one of those friends of mine was a good friend of yours. Well, at least his husband was, right? And so you were connected in that way. You found the show and you were like a vocal fan of that. And I think it was really freaking cool. I like when people just kind of speak up and say, hey, I dig your shit, or you're helping me promote it, because I put a lot of work into this. I really appreciated it. And then I found out that you had a podcast, you were part of a podcast as well. And I kind of said to you before, it's one of those things where it's I want to be in the right headspace to hear it. I want to be let it marinate and be seasoned. I don't want to push it. And it honestly took a real long ass time. And in that time, we just kind of stayed in contact on social media here and there, found you interesting, but we never really and then I listened to the show about maybe 2.5 months ago. And I was like, I fucking love this show. In the first 5 to 10 minutes, I was like, this is fire. This feels great. And so I'm not going to act the power of production. I don't know when exactly this is going to drop in the sequence or whatever, but I mean, you and your show and your co-host, which we're going to be doing an episode with him as well soon. Y'all are going to be joining, or if depending on when you're seeing this, you have already joined the Sweet Talkers Network. So who raised you hoes? Yay!
Yes.
I'm super excited about, because I listened to the show and I feel like this just feels like it's related to the Cookout. It feels like a cousin of the Cookout. It feels like a cousin of everything else that we're doing. And like the Sweet Talkers is like, you know, very Black, very gay.
Very gay.
And that's what that show is. And like I'm
love
excited. But what I did do is I wanted this to be as authentic as it could be. So I did my best to like try not, I know this sounds really crazy because I'm even doing it with your co-host right now. I'm doing my best to not get to know you until we did this because I wanted this to be real,
right.
you know? Like, so
Yes.
like, so you have this show, like Who Raised You Hoes? Like, what is it about? What does it feel like to you? What does it mean to you? Like, and how are you feeling about like joining the network and what we got going on?
Oh man. So before I get into how it feels, I want to thank you on air for everybody to see for being so diligent about the cookout and for what you have done with that show, because when I found the cookout, it felt like home. It felt like,
oh wow,
I would be yelling at faithfully every Thursday on my way to work, listen to the cookout. I needed it. And I also want to thank you for being open to your listeners to interact with you, because like I'm not even gonna act like y'all were like celebrities in my eyes. Like you guys were like, it just felt so like, so it felt super dope.
Yeah.
For you to be welcoming, to be like, interact with me, promote the show, like let's chop it up. So that was really cool, and that like pushed me even more to continue promoting the way that I did, because I wanted other people to have the same feeling. So thank you for that.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
No problem. So, Who Raised You Hoes?
I love that.
Shout out to my host, as I am co-host of the show. My friend Lonnie, aka Lene, that's my bitch.
Come on.
I remember when Lonnie, I was one of the first people that Lonnie told about his idea to do a podcast. And he was like really afraid. He was like, friend, I don't know what I don't know. Like it's something I really want to do, but I don't know how to tackle it. I was like, y'all just go for it. You got it. He gave me the premise of it. He was like, I want it to be, ironically enough, focusing on Black gay issues. Yes. I want it to be with pop culture, blah, blah, blah. I was like, that's all you got it. Like, go for it. So I'm championing him to do it. His first season he did with one of his best friends, and it came to an end. Mm-hmm. And then after that, he came to me and he was like, I would really be honored if you would be a co-host to the show. Love it. And I had already done a couple of episodes with my then partner on his show. Mm-hmm. And I just love it because I just love to chop it up with friends. I love a good conversation. I love a good chat. I love to do those things. So we did it a couple of times and he was like, I just really think that you will be a great fit for this show. So would you do it with me? And I was like, sure. And I just jumped in. And when I jumped in, it just began to unfold, and like he got to see how my mind works, and I'm kind of quick with stuff sometimes. And I just jumped in it. As you have learned since we've been interacting, I stay on ready. I'm ready for the calls. I'm ready to jump in and do the things at all times. Let's make it happen. I am over the moon that you listen to it and you are like, bitch.
I'm so excited.
This is fire.
I'm so excited.
Like, that makes me feel so, so great. And so when you said that to me the first time, I was like, bitch, I can just like right now. Yes. So being a part of the Sweet Talkers Network is like, it's a dream come true for me. Like, not for nothing. I'm not even going to front. Yes, that's my shit. Like, I'm so, so super happy for us to be a part, because I feel like, I told you, I was like, ever since I started listening to the cookout, I was like, bitch, one day, I'm going to be on the goddamn show, bitch. So it's just full circle. It's dope.
I fucking love it. I'm excited. I really am excited. This has been fucking great.
Yes, this has been so fun. So fun.
Living for this. Talking to you, get to know you today, like, I feel like we've kind of like unlocked the door a little bit. We letting the air in. I think it's just really fucking cool. I'm really glad that I got to do this with you. I'm like really, I'm thankful. So super dope.
This is dope. Thank you.